Hey everybody, Norman Rice here from Extreme, and I am joined by Aaron from the NFL,
Hey,
our CIO of the NFL.
that's
And
right.
so here we are. We're super excited, Aaron. You do this every year. We have a quick chat as we kick off the season,
Yeah.
and it's what inquiry minds want to know. We ask questions. So we get to ask a couple of fun questions and some really cool stuff. So we've been working together for 10 years.
Yeah.
10 years. That's a lot of seasons together. And the question's always, back to you. You're leading the technology front for the NFL. What are you excited about this year? What's going to be new? What's different? What's going on?
Yeah. 10 years or 10 seasons, as we always
Mhm.
say. It's a big milestone in technology to be working that long together.
Yeah.
It's a big endorsement of just like the relevance of connectivity, what we do together. It's pretty exciting to have this long of a partnership, Norm. And every year things change. There's a new initiative, there's some new focus of the league. This year, we're really looking at our fan engagement. And I mean on all fronts, the total life cycle of the fan and trying to personalize that experience to what our fans individually, how they want to interact with us and what they expect from us. So we have this one-to-one fan engagement strategy, and that really carries through everything. Carries through the marketing side, the kind of communications go out there, but those play down into event day, game day, how we respond within our apps, what types of features are in our apps, what ways as a business we can personalize and really maximize that experience so the fan feels they have value out of it. Not so that we're spamming them with hundreds of different messages from different channels, but those are tailored down to them. And so when I think about from the tech perspective, we're talking about everything from having frictionless connectivity within our stadiums that enable those root experiences down through to an app and new emerging types of technology and features in those apps.
Yeah. And it's, one of the other questions, in the fan experience that we've talked about a little bit over the last couple of years is or how connectivity's evolved with officiating too. And,
Yeah.
and I remember we were talking about it last year about, are we going to get into this virtual reality? Are we going to be in the metaverse and that aspect of the game as well?
We're starting to look at those types of technologies and engagement experiences. I think the first rule we have is it can't detract from the event and or the game in front of you. It has to be complementary to it. And it has to be frictionless and easy. So you're not thinking about, I've got to join this specific network to use this app versus another. It all has to just work seamlessly with your device. And then you don't have to think about it. We started to contemplate. I think everybody has had enough of QR codes after the pandemic and having to be.
Yeah.
And then the link never pops out for me. By the way, I'm always sitting there clicking the screen 16 times. It's very embarrassing as a technologist when this happens out in a group and they think that I should be the fastest one to the link. But how do you get out of that type of forcing an action to have a digital interaction with a fan? So you start to blend that line between the real and the virtual world and that metaverse experience. And so we're looking at technologies that maybe do more of our fans opt into proximity down to a fine grained scenario. Can we get really accurate with that? Can we have triggers that work off of engagement behaviors, doing activities with us, versus trying to force someone to say, oh, okay, I did this activity. Now I'm going to go and fill out this form and take this QR code picture and hit enter. We're trying to get much more seamless with those types of experiences. And we're going to be testing technology around those areas. And all these interact and integrate with the digital video experience. That's another important piece to this, which means a lot of low latency, high quality mobile video delivery experiences.
It's cool. And it's funny you started off with that because sometimes when you're scanning the QR code, you end up just taking a picture of it.
Yeah, I have a lot of those.
Yeah. You look in your photo library, you're like, really?
And how many menu PDFs? Yeah.
They're all, yeah, you go look at
Yeah.
all the different browsers and it's like all the pages that are.
I mean, we laugh about it, but
you look back at your body of work. You've been in with the NFL about 20 years, and half that time has been with us. So we've been
yeah.
fortunate to be together for that period of time. What are some of the big, what are the top couple of achievements that you're super proud of?
20 years. When I started here, it's just evolved so much on game day. Game day technology, it's just, you can't imagine today's NFL without technology. Between the tablets and the Surface devices on the sidelines to stats that are automated and supplied and power all our different partners to just the video experience. I mean, we have our own instant replay system now from angles independent of the broadcaster. And so all these experiences not only are powering the game, but then they power the business and they all feed into it and they're all interdependent. It's just so much more integrated with technology at the stadium to operate the game. And when I think about what it takes to do that, the second big change is just really connectivity. We were happy in the past. I remember the stats guys used to use dial-up as a backup to providing stats. And then their primary stats were just on like whatever small connection the stadium had. And it was just text moving back and forth. That was our extent of stadium connectivity outside of what the stadium did itself for its point of sale. And now I remember when 40 gig was considered a big connection coming into a stadium. Now we're talking multiple 100 gig connections coming into a stadium. Why? We're taking live video for that instant replay system back centrally to New York. When you're running multiple games, you're trying to connect all those stadiums simultaneously into one hub in New York. And by the way, you want a redundancy for that on the West Coast. And you want every stadium to have a certain amount of overhead for growth. You want to be able to provide streaming services like NFL Plus if fans want to use that in the stadium. So it's just a tremendous growth in connectivity for, you'd say, only a few hours of a day on that site. So that's just tremendous. And the other part is mobile. The other big change since I joined the NFL the last 20 years is just the mobile experience. The devices fans are bringing, the density of those devices in our stadiums and at our events, the amount of capability you have on that device, everything from retail to parking to, you know, setting up your game day or your draft day experience. That all has to work without any hitches across a very large campus. And sometimes, an example, Super Bowl or draft for us, a campus we don't control every day.
Right.
Places that are usually parking lots that we turn into literally a VIP high dollar, high experience level party zone that used to be a parking lot. So I just think connectivity ties all these things we're talking about together, but it is the biggest change, I think, of the last 20 years, the demand.
Yeah. And I think, you know, our partnership it really started around connectivity and analytics. And so when we think about analytics, and that's been our category with the NFL for a number of years, and it's the insights you get from all this information. So all this connectivity is happening. You were talking about how we're supporting the teams in the field, but then the fan, you talked about the fan experience and also everything, whether it's in the parking lot all the way through the commerce site or some other engagement. But knowing what people use and why they use it, how they use it, that's how we can design better systems. And that comes from the insights and analytics. So any observations there from the analytics site that you know, gotchas and wows?
So this year we'll have Extreme Analytics devices in 29 of the 30 stadiums. Right. Very excited about that. And yeah, you set it up there, but it's also when. And that's one of the things that's been very interesting about the Extreme Analytics we've done. We are actually timing this throughout the game window, pre-game, post-game, kickoff, halftime. So we're actually getting this live sort of picture of that organic usage of the connectivity. And we know some of the behavior is intentional and some of it's passive. Right. And we want to see all that, right? We want to be able to model how our fans across different regions, whether we're in Dallas or we're talking about New England, we're talking about, you know, SoFi in LA, are there different trends by region? Are we seeing unique interactions, or are we seeing, you know, kind of larger trends across the nation and choices in social media, choices in sports apps? This is all really important to us, but it's also how we set the bar for ourselves. You know, we really started this program based on metrics of performance for the Wi-Fi systems to make sure that they were functioning, that they had the right throughput and the right bandwidth. But we've really evolved this now to a metric for what's the experience the fan is getting within these apps, but also on game day. How does that differ from the at-home experience? This is the only way we get that data.
Yeah, and it as you said, it started really almost as an audit function of like, hey, what's really being connected? And over the years, we've seen some crazy stuff that people do. They, you know, if they're looking at different sites or just the engagement and cool trends. You know, one of the things I remember a couple of years ago where we didn't realize that, a demographic for a Super Bowl, for example, you don't think of Snap as really that demographic. And there wasn't a lot of Snap usage until the game started to take. It was a comeback, and of course, I'm going to talk about the Patriots coming back. But they had a big comeback, and boom, the traffic took off in a way that none of us were expecting. It was really interesting to watch and see that evolve.
Very interesting that time, because you saw like Facebook media really heavy up front, and then Snap come in later in that moment. It was like all of a sudden people switched apps in the middle of the game.
Yeah, because they could get an instant communication or instant share. And then over the years, just different stuff that's happened. It's just been really fascinating to see and evolve. So we're your partner. What's your favorite part about working with us, working with Extreme?
Well, my favorite part is really what you said, partnership. That's not always there in technology, but it really is there. Extreme listens, learns about our business, and develops products alongside us. So the analytics device, I mean, you've customized that to be tailored to the flow of our game.
Right.
We've talked about what important categories in tracking are there for the NFL. They're very specific to our business, to our operations. And we've really developed these together. So I feel like it really is a partnership. We have a real hand in the direction of the product, which you don't get with every technology transaction that you make. This is truly a partnership. And I've really appreciated that, the listening and the learning and the responding.
Yeah, we feel the same way about you and your team. I mean, we're in the trenches together, and we've been doing that together. And whether it's supporting each other on a game day, supporting each other, you mentioned the Super Bowl, just having people on the ground to support you and the broader team and all the teams. So it's been a great relationship.
I mean, you guys showed up when it was negative like 17 degrees in Minnesota to help build a Wi-Fi network for our operations compound. So
I know.
I think that was pretty good right there.
That's a big shout out to everybody involved. So any predictions for the season? Well, it's about to kick off.
Norman, I try to stay away from football predictions, so I'm not going to make any of those at all. What I'll say is this. At Super Bowl last year, we saw 80% uptake in the Wi-Fi network. 80% of the fans crossed onto the Wi-Fi network at some point. I don't even think they all knew they did that, right? The passiveness of the devices, the availability of the networks to be frictionless is just creating this high connectivity demand scenario. And when fans don't even know what network they're using or they're connected to, they do know they want the experience to be the same. And one of my big predictions is that's going to continue. And that demand for our networks to be performing, to be seamless, to be frictionless is going to be even higher. And we're going to have to meet that bar. And the digital engagement that we want to do, the strategies we have are going to require that to be in place. And we're just going to be more demanding on that network. If we're talking AR, VR, if we're talking, new wayfinding experiences that are very close proximity and trigger video and AR and VR experiences based on that, low latency, and 80% of the stadium of 70,000+ people are on it, that's a tall order. So my prediction is our work's not going to get any easier, but I think we have the right partnership to do it.
Well, thank you. And thanks for the subliminal message on other parts of the business and for the season. But hey, as the official Wi-Fi provider and the official Wi-Fi analytics provider to the NFL, we couldn't be proud of our partnership and the 10 years we've been working together. And here's to 10 more. Thank you, Aaron. Thanks for sharing your time today, and let's have a great season.
May all my predictions come true.
All right. Thanks, Aaron. Take care.
Take care.